Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Karina Estiani Agustin, and today I will be talking about non-verbal expressions. So, in differentiating the culture, we're not only talking about how the language of each other, but it's also about the non-verbal expressions or the unspoken expressions, and these consist of four aspects. That's what I'm going to explain today. The first is the facial expression, second is paralinguistic, the third is body language and posture, and the fourth is eye gaze. And I will also explain how these four difference across English and also Indonesian culture. So first, facial expressions. Result shows that people from different culture share about 70% of the facial expression used in response to different social and emotional situations. So it's actually this facial expressions is different from one culture to another. And as we know that there are seven universal facial expressions of the seven emotions like anger, contempt, disgust, fear, joy, sadness, and also surprise. So, take an example for simply like Indonesian people are really love to smile. They really when foreigner come to our country, they tend to say that, oh, Indonesian people are so kind, they are so warm-hearted, they love to smile, they look at us, and so on and so forth. Well, this is actually a kind culture that we have from our generation to generation that taught us to always smile and to always be kind for those foreigners or for the strangers or for those elderly, because if you're not smiling, it will be considered as rude and so on and so forth. And that's the Indonesian culture. While if we see like from the other English speaking country, they don't have such culture like smile to the foreigner and be kind and warm-hearted. It's not that explicitly showing that kind of excitement into their facial expressions, because in people are from English speaking country tend to they're not differentiate people by race. They try to make all people be equal, and that is why the culture is different. And the second one is paralinguistic. So paralinguistic is the study of this vocal and sometimes non-vocal signals beyond the basic verbal message or speech, also known as vocalist. So paralinguistic is basically coming from a word paralanguage that include accent, pitch, volume, speech rate, modulation, and fluency. So, take an example for Indonesia. For example, Indonesia have a lot of race and a lot of ethnic, and one of our ethnic is called Batak. So that if they are talking to people, if they're talking to people, they have like louder voice or a louder volume of voice, and they have like a high pitch. So it's kind of for if Batak people talking just like usual, they seems like they are mad, but they aren't actually, because that's the culture that raised them to speak like that. That's the uniqueness of the Batak ethnic in Indonesia. While they speak like a madman, but they are actually not, but that's just the culture. While if we see like the English speaking country like Australia, for example, they do not speak that much loud, just like usual tone and done, and that is not like showing how like a madman, which is like a usual, just like how I talk today. And the third point is body language and posture. So, body language is a type of non-verbal communication in which physical behavior, as opposed to words, are used to express or convey the information. Such behavior includes facial expressions, body posture, gesture, eye movement, touch, and use of space. So, take an example of body language. Like Indonesia loves to use have some unique rules of body language. For example, like if we met stranger or if we met elderly, we need to bow. We need to kind of lightly bit bow, and then we have to lowering our head, or we cannot pointing finger. Or like I'm from Japanese, so that's it's kind of rude for us to pointing out people with index finger. So yeah, Japanese people do not use index fingers to show, like for example, like someone asks you like where's the mall, for example, and if you pointing out that like this, oh, that it's there, for example, it's kind of rude. And Japanese people does not use index finger, but they use thumb, for example, just like, oh, it's there, for example, because using index finger is kind of rude in Indonesian or in Japanese culture. While in English speaking country, they might not, but they might have no idea why the index finger is kind of rude, because they just use it usually. While in Indonesian culture, we tend to use this. Or for example, like Indonesia, when we met elder people, we have to like lowering our head for like stranger or for like someone is older than us. But then in English speaking country, for example, like Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, or just like Australia, for example, they do not like it. They just want people to to show the confident posture when you talk to other people. Okay, now the fourth point or the fourth aspect, the last but not least, is eye gazing. So the eyes play an important role in nonverbal communication, and such things as looking, staring, and blinking are important nonverbal behaviors. People also utilize eye gaze as a means to determine if someone is being honest. So for like Indonesian culture, sometimes eye gazing does not necessary to have in a conversation. For example, like having eye contact to each other, even sometimes it could be considered impolite, because like some Indonesian people might say, why are you looking at me, so for example, or some lecturer would say, why do you looking at me like that, for example. So it's not it is not really necessary for us to have an eye contact. While in English speaking country, it is necessary. It is the opposite, but it is necessary. You have sometimes eye gaze or eye contact show how interested you are in a conversation, and showing that you are paying attention towards someone speaking, and that is really necessary for you to have an eye contact when you talk to someone with, from the country that coming from English speaking country. And that is all the four aspects that I'm going to explain today. So first, facial expression, paralinguistic, body language, posture, and also the eye gazing. This difference of culture uh, might seem kind of opposite, but that's how the uniqueness and how that makes the cultures beautiful, because it has a variety of type and it has variety of perspective. So thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.